Hey, what's up, Rubens? Hey, quick video. Not even a quick video, but we're going to be looking at this absolute gargantuan beast here today. I'm going to post, man, cat hair. What can I don't know what's on this table. I'm going to post the link to this kit in the description because I don't have everything in front of me right now, but also I don't want to get wrong who made it, because this is a third-party kit. I was investigating a bit. There you go. She's going to fall apart. So I was investigating a bit and asking around. This is a, excuse me, a kit that was probably made to kind of just be close enough to the original, but far enough away that it's not a copyrighted thing. I'm not saying that this is a illegal copyright stole. I don't know. I don't know the Chinese third-party market at all well. So if anybody has any information about this or the company, let me know. I got it on HiPlay. HiPlay is a great distributor. Thank you for sending it to me. Of course, I bought it, and I'll link it and everything like that. But when you get into kits like this, I don't know where they're necessarily coming from because I don't read Mandarin or whatever that's on the package. So anybody has information, let me know. While I can easily admit that there is, definitely a market for third-party kits that kind of skirt copyright law or whatever, or just blatantly rip off a copyrighted IP, I would like to know that, so at least I can tell people if I bought something, because I want to always give credit to the original, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, this is the Titan. This is essentially a kit that is built to resemble or to be a version of the Messer from the Penelope what's it called? Peacock, some P word. I can't remember the movie, the suit from the movie. Sorry, a couple adult beverages are in me. So anyway, and this is the original 11144 kit. This is a great, chunky, fun kit. Go ahead and build it. Have some fun. It's just a really fun. I love chunky, big kits like this. The animation is great. The fighting scenes in that movie are fantastic. The rest of the movie is boring as hell. But it's got some really nice, but it is definitely an HG, as you can see. So they took this idea, I believe, and they created this monstrosity, which is, again, really, really cool looking. Let me scoot my light over a little bit, but there is some good and bad. First, let's go over the pros. Let me scoot my light over just a bit here, so we can get, it's good enough. There are some pros. The pros is, as you can see, it looks fantastic when you're done. This is a great shelf piece. I want to caveat it, or put a caveat. I have not put the slides on yet. And the reason I don't often do the slides on a kit like this is I don't know if I'm going to paint it or customize it or something like that. It definitely could use a wash, as you can see from the gun and stuff. So, I want to bring out those details. I'll probably beat it up, but the colors are so, so nice. I love these colors. It's a bit unusual, but not gaudy. It's nice to see something like that. The metal bits would look really, really good with a wash on it. All these little silver bits, even the yellow bits would definitely could use it. So I'm going to do some more work to it. So I don't want to necessarily put the slides on until I decide what I'm going to do. For now, I'm going to stick it on the shelf. So keep that in mind. It does look better with water slides. Water slides add some depth and detail to your model kit. It's a good, even stickers is a good cheap way to make your kit look a little better. But even without that, as you can see, just all the little details are popping and stuff. So that's it definitely looks really cool. Everybody I show it to, or you see a video of it, are like, oh, that looks awesome. It looks, super tough and big and awesome, and they love the Messer. So that's definitely good. The other is, I don't know that it was cheap. It was what, $100, which, for I guess a third-party kit or one of these kind of bulkier, really detailed kits is probably a pretty good price. I will link in the description my review of the Destroy Gundam, which was $129. Now, granted, that's after taxes and everything. I think I got this a little bit on sale that I got from Gunzo. And that thing is as big as this and doesn't have as many details, but definitely is still a big, hunky, fun kit to put on your shelf. Tons of plastic. My new thing is, of course, my new kick is to have giant, bulky robots on my shelf. So I've been trying to hunt down every one that I can, even third parties and others. So if you have any suggestions for those, let me know. So that's the water slides. I will put those on at some point probably, or something similar. It does come with a few little leftover bits here on the hands. So you get a couple different hands here. Let's see, no big deal. So, I mean, you know, the cons are it looks great. You know, it's a great, big, nice shelf piece. You get some customization. This is a good piece for somebody who wants to take something big and silly and great and fat and huge and make and detail the hell out of it. This would be great for like a, you know, like a big, you know, a great big centerpiece thing on your shelf, you know, like a, you know, with like some trees and stuff. What's that called? Diorama. There you go. So the cons, let's get right to them because that's really the big thing about this kit. Everything that I looked up about this kit, every video review and stuff, it really mostly. I mean, now granted, some of them were in other languages, but the translations I could find said kind of the same thing. I understand. I mean, I don't want to give too much credit to somebody who took a design and made their own version of it. At the same time, that's a part of art. People do covers of songs and remakes of movies, or they're inspired by other suits in this case. And so I want to encourage other artists to kind of do a take on that. I don't think that that's a big deal as long as Bandai doesn't have a problem with it. It's their material, not mine. But so I don't want to give them too much credit. So they did a lot with a little, or they did a lot with their, I don't know, are they a smaller group? I have no idea who these, let me know. I'm going to take the backpack off. Oh my God. So you're going to start seeing some of the cons here. But even by saying that, I think that they did quite a bit with what they had, which was probably a smaller budget for making this. I don't know. You know, so let's look at the backpack since I have it off. So you got to be careful with this. So the backpack looks incredible. Lots of details, but you can see immediately where the problem is. Now, this is not going to be a problem if you're going, how do you put that back on? I always forget. This is not going to be a problem if you're going to customize it, which I'm sure, or paint it a little bit. I'm sure most people will do that. Even just a wash would really do some interesting stuff to this. I mean, you get these little pins in here, which are really weird design choice, but really cool. Just, it feels like, I can't pull them out, but they literally slide in there like nails and you push them down. You get these interesting backpack choices here, you know. They move, but they don't have a lot of room to move, so you're going to kind of leave it in place. But as you can see, everything is kind of fragile. If you just touch it the wrong way, it falls off. That's easily fixed with just a spot of glue, not even a huge. You could even probably use rubber cement to just kind of temporarily hold it in place. But you know, it's a great looking backpack. The rest of the suit is great looking as well. But as you can see, as I'm just moving it, the shoulders. I think what happened here is they designed a kit that should have been more consistent across all of its limbs and everything, because you have places that needed more reinforcement and didn't get it. So for example, here's a small example. Here's the fist. Oops, that's an example right there. So let me take the fist off, the hand in this case. So the thumb just slots in there, which is again fine. You can, let me get my old man glasses on so I can see. It just kind of slots in there. How does this do it? There we go. So it just sits in there, where other hands I've seen have been better about that. It has this, you basically hook on the little plug, and I couldn't even get it out of there because I had to redo it. The hole, the dot that goes into the poly cap like this, the joint is so tiny for this big old kit. And you have a lot of places like that on the kit. Like here, the shoulder fits into the, and see right here, this one's loose. It holds on to the arm. It's kind of hard to illustrate without taking it. See how it's holding there solid like that? So that's tight. But all it takes is a little bit of a push, and it comes loose, and then the whole thing is flopping about. So it's not a great kit for quote unquote play. And with model kits, because they are toys, the play you give it is you pose it, you mess with it, like my copyrighted phrase, messing with it. You sit at your desk, you pose it, you point the gun, you know, take photos of it. It's just, you know, fun to mess with. You're not playing with it like a kid would play with a toy and, you know, bash them together and stuff like that. Model kits are not meant for that, but they should hold up like the original Messer can hold up to quite a bit of, you know, twisting and poking and stuff like that. And it doesn't easily come loose so quickly. Some parts do, like any model kit, but not all. And that's only in HG. MG's RE100s, for example, are nice, fat, giant kits that are a bunch of plastic that you can get for pretty cheap that can hold up to some abuse. Not all of them, again, but more modern kits are very sturdy. So for the price, I think what they should have done is maybe charged a bit more and made the experience, the build experience, more consistent, so that you're getting you're not getting this kind of a thing. You're able to put it in some really cool poses. Like, I'm not a big pose person. I like my bots to stand there and look cool. I'm not into giant kits like this. Like, I saw some comment on this saying, well, why do people think that this thing should be able to do ballet moves? And I absolutely agree. I don't think it should pose like, thin little, frame arms girls or something like that. It is supposed to look cool, fly around in space, and just be intimidating, right? It's a walking tank. But you want to be able to, like, just put the arm up and have it hold there and stuff without it kind of giving in under its own weight. And it's very possible, now it does hold poses, don't get me wrong, but it's very possible that a kit this size can hold itself up under its weight. Did I scratch the hell out of the table? Look at that, I already scratched, but I hate this table. It shows every little scratch. These skirts look pretty good, but look at that, how easily that comes off. Look, see the tiny little nub mark they use, whatever you call that. I forget what to go. They just kind of sit there, which is fine. Again, this crotch piece, this cod piece here, it pushes up, which is a nice design. It has a lot of plastic kind of into the inner frame there, so that when you push it on, it has this kind of nice detail there. But this part right here just pops off so easy, I had to actually put glue there. So that's glued into place just that little bit. I put a tiny amount, so if I needed to pull it off, I probably could. These fists, these hands, the covering on the hands, the back of the hand, whatever you call those parts, came off so easily that I just, let me see if this one will do it, because it's not glued. So they just come off really easy. And all they put were those two little, see those two little divots there to go into there. So while it works, it's not, and look at the thumb. See, the thumb's loose as well. The tolerances here on this, I don't know if it's a third garage, I don't know what you call these. Somebody let me know. I'm new to this kind of whole thing. That's what it's missing. It's missing that consistent experience where you can plug in and it's holding itself in relative to its weight, if that makes sense. So this thing is huge. It weighs as much as like an iPad or two or whatever, but it needs to be designed and engineered to where it's going to hold itself up, or at least hold a good pose. And these little parts, like look at the head. I'll show you. This is really funny. And again, I'm not griping about it too much because it is a third-party kit. I don't know if they make $1 billion or not, whatever. See, now that's loose. But this head made me, in fact, building the whole kit made me really, really appreciate the absolute studs who engineer modern kits that feel so, they go together like butter. They're so nice. This head, literally, that little bitty divot. Look at that little bitty. Now, did I put it in wrong? I don't know. That's the problem, is I assembled it, and I got all these gaps and stuff, and I don't know. The parts on the side, see, they're loose. They're, not all kits, but again, a lot of really modern kits would have had that lock into place. See, those are loose. This, it goes together, but you can see the gaps there. Look at that. Here's gap, and then they put this little tiny thing that, did I not squeeze it together enough? Am I not? I mean, I followed the instruction manual, but then you look at the little tiny head to the point that if I look at the regular messer, the HG messer, it has a larger, more contact with the head than this $100 or whatever kit, So it's kind of like they had to design it over time with a whole bunch of people. Their friend Scott would do, well, I don't know, his name would be Scott, whatever, but would do, the head, and then Billy would do the fists, and none of them seemed to be working together to really make a consistent experience. Having said all that, once you get it assembled, see, now I've got to snap, I'll do that later. Once you get it assembled and it looks fantastic, this is a big chunky kit, it does hold some pose and stuff like that. You as you mess with it and get used to the kind of the tolerances of it, you will be able to put it in the poses, I'm sure. I just haven't got it to that point. This is another point I wanted to make. If you look at the leg connectors, which is a really common connector, you just plug the leg into the slot. Let me get my little, let me use this, a little brush. This would be easier to point out. In the little slot right here, I can't get that to go in all the way. I pushed and I pushed, and it's one of those cases, and you model builders out there will know, especially snap or push fit model builders, that it's one of those parts where you push so hard that you slip and you break apart. Like you're going, and it goes, and then, some part goes flying. I didn't want to do that. That's as hard as I could get. That's as deep as I could get in there. See, that one went a little better. Again, this tiny little connector, which could hold up this model kit, but this tiny little, part to hold up this huge model kit. Again, I'd like to see the original messer. And look at the size of that one. It's the same size, same width for an HG that is half the height, half the weight. So it just has an inconsistency that I guess you get from third-party kits or whatever. I don't... Screw it, let it all fall apart. But what you're paying for here, I guess, is a new design or a new take on one of your favorite designs or something that you want to customize. See, everything starts to fall apart. It just starts to fall apart. That can happen on any kit, even really good kits. Little bits like this and that will fall. That's fine. But I've never, or at least in a long time, have experienced such gaps. Even though, bear in mind the nub marks that you're seeing. I need to have another beer after this. The nub marks that you're seeing are the result of me. I build these really, really fast because I got a lot of reviews to do. I got a huge backlog to do. So ignore the nub marks, but I do clean off enough if there is a undergate, and you know this, if there's an undergated part and you're left with a little plastic there, it'll cause a gap. Have you ever undergated something and you forget and then it doesn't close all the way and you're like, oh, I didn't clean it off all the way. Well, you can see here that it just doesn't have that butteriness that a lot, I should say, of modern day kits will give you. So you get gaps everywhere. It reminds me of a Tesla or something like that, or Cybertruck. Gaps, gap here. You know what I mean? These parts even pushing together. Some of them, like the one side will go together really smooth, and the other side will have this gap. See how it kind of has a give there? So here's the ultimate question I always like to answer for kits, especially one that's pretty expensive or whatever, is it worth it? I would say that if you can get this for 100 or under, and you really like the messer and you really want a big shelf piece, go for it. I know that sounds crazy, but for me, my budget is a few hundred per month, so it's not a big deal. I'm not saying that that's the same for everybody. If you don't have much money, that seems like a huge amount. But if this is a centerpiece model kit for you, go for it. If it's not, if you want something big and bulky and dumb and just a cool looking, get you the Destroy Gundam. There's other third-party kits that are legit, like B-Duck. Get you a B-Duck for $54. Those parts go together like freaking butter. They're thick. It's more like a toy. Something like this is probably my first experience with really putting together a very large kind of designer third-party kit. And I have to say, I do like the end product. I kind of enjoyed the build. It's about 50-50. But it just isn't consistent enough. That's not why I like modern kits. If I wanted inconsistency like this, I would buy like a 1980s kit. Because although this looks amazing, there were parts I was building this that felt like I was building a 1980s or 90s kit or whatever you call it, like those really old, whatchamacallit kits. You get a lot of really nice designs, little silver bits and stuff. But like see the toe here in the back? Completely loose. So it provides you with no help in standing unless they go all the way back, right? But then the arm bit, you do get some nice little pistony kind of stuff in there. You might see that in there in the arms. You get a little pistony type stuff, but it's not really enough to make up for the issues you have. So if you want a centerpiece thing, you're cool with spending about $100 or 80 to 120 or however much you find this for, go for it. Me personally, I probably won't do another one of these. I'll research a little bit more heavily. And I will put this together. I'll probably just dirty the hell out of it, leave the water slides off, save those for another model kit, and use this as a fun centerpiece kit because there are some really nice details in here. I think the team did pretty well. It has some nice little gimmicks. We'll see nice little gimmicks and stuff like that, but it's just so inconsistent. That's not what I pay for. I pay for a fun model building experience. I used to hate building the models. I used to only enjoy painting them and stuff like that. But in recent years, they've gotten so smooth, so buttery that I love the model building experience. And this just does not do it. It does not give me the same experience. So anyway, there's my half-drunk, messy review. Great looking kit. Skip it unless you really like the suit. So have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.